Ayo, back at it again with another podcast, and that's kind of weird to say to me. Not to say it to me, but say like coming from it, because usually I say that on YouTube videos, and like this is like exciting. Podcasting is fun. Like I enjoyed. I won't. This is only the second episode, but the first episode was a banger. So we're just gonna keep rolling with it, and I'm super pumped. It's a very unique opportunity. So, um, if you don't know that about me is I am a German major. So I had the opportunity last semester to study abroad, and I kind of just want to talk about it because it was a roller coaster of emotions and a roller coaster of kind of just like things to do. Um, so it's a lot to kind of unpack. It was like 4 months of my life. So obviously you can't just break it down bang 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 bang, but like I can totally try and break it down in like 45 minutes worth for a podcast. Um yeah, so I mean I did make a like a it's not a short film, but it's not a movie either. So I did a compilation of I put together a video for every like trip I did, and then I put it together and I made like a movie. And that is on my YouTube channel, which y'all should watch because I put a lot of work into that, and that I was very proud of that um, outcome. So my flight. So I'm from the Chicago area, and my roommate Josh lives in Boston area. He lives in Rhode Island, but so I flew into Boston. So Chicago to Boston flight that was oh goodness like 28th of August, 29th or something. So I fly in, get to Boston, have a good time. Literally, we walked the entire Freedom Trail, and that is super cool. So you got like the Paul Revere House, and then you got the oh goodness, there's a bunch of other ones. Bunker Hill. Obviously, that's a very important American Revolutionary War battle. So that was pretty cool. You get to see a whole bunch of other stuff along that trail that was very colonial history and very cool to kind of see because that's very much a part of our early history. So that was really cool. And I've obviously wanted to go to Boston for a while now because I just find the city fascinating. Don't like their sports teams. I like the Celtics, but that's about it. Patriots can they definitely can go fuck themselves, in my opinion. Red Sox, no. Bruins, no. I like the Celtics. I vibe with that. But I can't, I gotta rock with my Chicago sports teams. I can't, it's called brand loyalty. It's called city loyalty, something Anthony Davis truly doesn't understand. Apparently, if you get a Chicago tattoo, it gives you the right to root for Green Bay, in his mind, and that is not the case. Homie, your Chicago card has been revoked. And I stand by that. That statement. So, flying into Boston, walked the Freedom Trail, kind of hung around Boston area for a day or two, and then flew from Boston to Amsterdam, and then Amsterdam to Stuttgart, Germany. So obviously Amsterdam's the Netherlands. Stuttgart is southwest Germany in one of the states called Baden-Württemberg. So in southern Germany there are two major states, Baden-Württemberg and Bavaria. So obviously Bavaria is very popular for the like what is now the Disney castle that the Disney Corporation kind of used as a Cinderella castle, and that's Neuschwanstein. And obviously Munich is very popular for Oktoberfest, and I'll talk about that here in a second. Because Oktoberfest, I went to that and I did not enjoy it, and I'll explain why in a second. So flew into Amsterdam, had about an hour and a half layover to get to Stuttgart, and that passport control line was long as fuck. Like, that was absolutely insane. And they were like calling out, like, if your flight leaves in 20 minutes, get out of line and go into the fast pass. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Schiphol, y'all are wild. But don't worry, that's not the wildest thing that happened to us at Schiphol. And I'll explain that at the very end, because we went out on a bang. In a weird way, like almost didn't get on the plane kind of way. I'll explain that. So flew from Amsterdam to Stuttgart, and that was a nice one. We flew KLM, and KLM's the Royal Dutch airline, and I will never fly with them ever again. Because I'll explain more later. But first off, my baggage was delayed, and I was like, okay. I mean, I normally don't get upset about that kind of thing, but Josh's luggage was there, so I had to go without. And like they were very professional about it. They gave me like a nice credit amount to like fly with them again, and that I never used because I wasn't gonna fly with them again. And they were very nice people about it. They were very professional. But like, okay, so the first strike was not losing luggage. The first strike was delayed baggage. Like, it was like the entire, not the entire flight, because apparently Josh got his luggage. Half the flight's luggage wasn't on the plane, so that was obviously a problem. And it was super interesting because we literally walked out on like, it wasn't the tarmac, but it was like, we literally walked up to the plane. Like, they had us on our shuttle, and they drove us up, and then we walked on the plane. I thought that was cool because that never happens. Or I've never had that happen to me. And I'm sure that a bunch of different airports that happened, but that was the first time it happened to me. So I was like, oh wow, that's cool. Instead of like that little like walkway you walk on to get on the plane. I was like, damn, that's interesting. So we get to Stuttgart, and my luggage is not there. So that was interesting. So first off, we get to Stuttgart, and like, I've already been to Germany once for about a week and a half with my German class in high school. So I was very like accustomed, or very well aware of German culture and the language, and it's kind of like how things run differently over there than they do over here, and it's very interesting, very interesting to see, especially in terms of like public transportation. Like in the United States, like everybody has a car because gas is cheap. But in Germany, it's a lot of public transportation, buses, trains. Obviously, there's still airplanes, but not used as much because trains will take you anywhere. That rail system is very efficient. The Deutsche Bahn does a great job at that. Yeah, that's a very clear difference. So we got to Stuttgart, bag's not there, so I'm like, oh fuck, that's a way to end this experience of flying over, because you just did about, oh geez, it was like a 10-hour flight to Amsterdam, and then about another hour and a half, so we're looking at anywhere from 10 to 12 hours, and then another 2-hour flight. So 14 or 15 hours of like physical travel time, and then you gotta factor in the 7-hour time change. So you're looking at 15 plus about roughly 15 plus 7-hour time change. So you're looking at like 22 hours ish of like travel. Obviously 7 hours that you didn't travel, but you have to adjust, obviously. And let me tell you, adjusting to that was fine. Coming back from, because like, so say like 7 o'clock there is noon here, so like you'd want to go to bed at like 3 p.m. and I don't know. I got very sick when I got back because I was adjusting from the time change. It was about it was like it wasn't. I didn't throw up, but it was like a 24-hour flu kind of thing, and I felt like crap. Um, so we get there. We meet up with our on-site coordinator. She is a sweetheart. She is amazing and awesome, and we all love her. We called her our second mom, and she definitely was. She killed it. She crushed it. That's what I'm trying to say. Um. So yeah, we kind of have to do a bunch of paperwork the first couple of days. Like, now this is where things get really interesting because this is kind of like the start of this whole experience. Like, we've already started this experience because obviously traveling was interesting, but like you had to fill out paperwork for visas, and you had to fill out paperwork for. I am a temporary resident of this city. So where I was, so Stuttgart is southwest Germany, and then so about an hour southwest is two cities, Reutlingen and Tübingen. Reutlingen is where I was, and about 10 others in our group, and then Tübingen was about 5 miles, kilometers. I legit don't know the conversion rate. So 5 miles to kilometers. I legit don't know that off the top of my head, and I legit just don't care. But so it was really close. So that was where a couple other students were because they're there for the entire year, and that was something that I was not gonna do. I was not gonna if I'm gonna be there, like if I'm being forced to study abroad, I'm gonna be there for as little time as possible because I didn't there was not a part of me that was like, oh, let's uproot my life and all my friends and all my people here at Valpo for 4 months. Like, no part of that was like, yeah, let's do that. Like, it was obviously studying abroad is a very unique opportunity and a very awesome opportunity, and I recommend it for a lot of people. But like, just the time change and just the amount of time that you're there, it makes it challenging. So 4 months is obviously a long time. In terms of like a year, or in terms of like a couple of years, it's not that long. But 4 months is longer than you think. So we fill out paperwork for visas, we fill it out for temporary residence, we fill it out for housing assignments, we fill out paperwork for what else did I sign my life away for? Housing, visa, residence, classes. That's about it. But like the first week was all paperwork, and I was like, oh, just fucking shoot me already. And yeah, that was pretty much it. And then we went on a trip. So Stuttgart is southwest, close, really, really close to the French border. So when on the French border, it like juts out and kind of looks like a greater than sign. If you know what I'm talking about. There's a part of the French border that is by Strasbourg, and it looks like a greater than sign. So like we were really close to that. So we're in southwest Germany, and then we go to Leipzig, which is just south of Berlin. So we like cross country travel. So Stuttgart is one part of the country, Leipzig's another part of the country. So I think we travel up to Frankfurt and then over to Leipzig. I think that's how we did it. I can't remember, honestly. I was actually kind of passed out for most of that train ride because I was exhausted because we got up at like 6 or 7 for that. And I'm a kind of guy that needs like at least 8-9 hours of sleep, and I go to bed at like anywhere from midnight to 2 a.m. Not a good habit to get into, but I like staying up that late because that's the time of the day where like the world is kind of like quiet, and not too many people expect stuff from you. Like, you're not getting 100 different text messages at 2 a.m. because everyone's asleep. Every normal person is asleep, and my dumbass is the one still up. But that's why I love it, because no one expects anything from me at 2 a.m. Like real talk. So I was exhausted for that train ride. So we get to Leipzig, and I didn't have an issue with Leipzig. It just wasn't one of my favorite cities. Like there's just so much history there. Like, that's what interests me. But like every part of the city was like, eh. Like, you can totally tell East German architecture from West German architecture. The Soviet Union had a unique style of architecture, and what I mean by unique style of architecture is concrete squares. You think I'm kidding? Soviet style architecture is just ugly. It really, really, to me, I find it like I don't want to hurl, like. But yeah, I didn't really. I don't know. Like, I like West Germany compared to East Germany, and there you can totally still see the divide by architecture, by the width of the streets. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to Berlin. But yeah, I like Leipzig. There's this big like monument in Leipzig, and it's freaking huge. And it's like this big. Think of like the Washington Monument, but like wider and just a little shorter. That's the best way I can describe it. And it's like this monument to the nations or whatever. Because apparently the Battle of Leipzig was important in the Napoleonic Wars, in defeating Napoleon. Like, obviously Waterloo is important. Like, that's the main one. That Napoleon, like, shot himself in the foot. Well, he kind of shot himself in the foot when he, like, it was like, you know what, Russia, screw you, we're coming for you. And guess what? We're not packing any winter clothes. Good luck. But, yeah, that was, like, Leipzig was cool. Like, we went up on that monument, and I have some serious fears of heights. And I don't know, I legit hate heights. And at the very top of that monument, it was like open, and like you look down, and I'm like, oh god, it was a mistake to look down, but I was like, how high am I up? And that was a mistake, because I got some serious fears and fears of heights. I was I was straight up not having a good time. And so yeah, that was pretty much all in Leipzig. There's not like too many attractions there. So then we were on our way. We stayed a night in Leipzig, and then the next day got on the train to Berlin, and then got there, and it was raining. Like, it was. We were in Berlin for 2 days, 2 nights, 3 days. And like, I've been to Berlin before, and I like it, and I like really enjoyed Berlin. But like, you can totally tell, like, this was like, it still kind of feels Cold War-ish. Like, when you fly into Berlin's Tegel, I think is the name, Tegel Airport, like, it straight up looks out of the 1960s. Like, straight up hasn't changed since 1960. Like, the architecture is there, and everything's the same. We flew there on a class trip from Zurich. So yeah, I remember, we didn't fly in there this time. We went on the train, and I don't like trains. Like, I really, really don't like trains. Like, throughout the course of the semester, like, I avoided trains at all possible, at all costs. Because, like, I just don't like it. Because, I don't know, I like buses, like, coach buses better. And I like Flixbus a lot, and I took Flixbuses everywhere. We took it to Venice, took it to Paris, took it to Munich, took it to... Where else did we go on Flixbus? I took one to Dresden. I took one to Cologne. I took one to... I don't know. There's a whole list of... Girl I just walked by. Probably curious what the fuck I'm talking about. Yeah, in the library again. And there's like these windows that you can totally like look into the study rooms, and she just gave me like this weirdest look. It's like, bitch, what the fuck are you doing? So we get to Berlin and it's raining, and it's totally like that unbearable rain. It's like you're like everything is soaked. Like even like it feels so like wet that it feels like your bones are wet, and like it's just uncomfortable. It's just an interesting time. So we like walk around and we do a tour with like a local guide, and he was pretty cool. He gave us his Instagram to follow. I was like, okay, he's pretty chill, because he was a kid like our age. He was like 23, 24. Turns out he was a drag queen, and I was like, okay, respect, but I can't have your bare ass on my Instagram feed. Like I can't. Like there's like just no. He was a good guy though. He was Swedish and German at this. I think he was explaining his mom was Swedish and his dad was German, or I don't know. It was a cool tour. So we got to see like the remnants. I don't think there's any remnants of the Berlin Wall left. I think it's just replicas at this point, because they all took it down way too fast, and I was like, "Fuck this, we're out." Yeah. So that was Berlin. I got to see all the main attractions. The very first day, got the TV tower, which is that like ugly Soviet architecture, with like the little ball rotating like a restaurant or whatever, which I haven't gone up to because I don't feel the need to go up there. Because pretty much when you like take a picture out of the TV tower in Berlin, you're taking a picture of Berlin, but like the TV tower is so a part of Berlin that people don't even recognize that you're taking a picture of Berlin. Apparently, that's what the guide was telling us. Is like, if you don't have the TV tower in your like panorama picture of Berlin, then it's like people get confused. Apparently, I was like, oh, good to know. So did that. We saw Potsdam. So the name of that like palace over in Potsdam is like Sanssouci or something. I don't know the official name. It's like SS, which is not a good thing to bring up when you're talking German history. But something like it's called Susi or something like Sans. I don't know. It doesn't matter. That palace was cool. So that was day 2. That was the second half of day 2 in Berlin. But the first half was Sachsenhausen. So Sachsenhausen was a concentration camp for the Nazis, and then the Soviets took it over and used it as like a concentration camp of their own. So I was like, oh, interesting. It wasn't a death camp like Auschwitz-Birkenau is, or the other. I think there's 6 death camps in total. I don't know the other 5. I know Treblinka is in one of those. But Sachsenhausen was not like a death camp, but it was like more like a work and internment camp for like political prisoners, I think, if I understand everything correctly. But apparently there was a gas chamber there, but it wasn't like it was used very minimally, if I remember everything correctly. So Sachsenhausen was day 2, along with Potsdam's Susi palace. So that was cool. And then the third day, our director was like, okay, well, I'm going back over by Stuttgart. I'm going back to the university. I'm like, and she was like, okay, you can go travel. You're on your own now. I was like, oh, well, we're gonna have to figure this out because, yeah, 'cause we're on our own now. So we went to Hamburg with a bunch of other people, and I think a couple other people went to Prague from Berlin, and that's pretty close. And personally, if I were to redo it, I would have gone to Prague, but obviously I can't go back in time and do that. Because I'm gonna be completely honest. I've seen pictures of Prague, and it's 100% better than Hamburg. Hamburg, there was nothing there, like legit nothing. I didn't actually shoot myself, but I was shooting myself in the foot, and because I was like, why the fuck did I go to Hamburg when there's nothing there that like I found interesting? Like I got that like main picture that like you're looking down you're from a bridge and you're looking down, and you see like a little restaurant and you see these big like brick buildings on the side. Like I got that picture. I was like, yes. The photographer in me is like, yes. Let's get it. Yeah, if you don't know, I do also have a passion for photography, and I have a Instagram page dedicated to just my photography at Vargo Inc. I was very surprised. Like I was going through names, and I was like, Vargo Inc. The name is not taken on Instagram, and like usually I have to, when I create like another account, and I've done a lot of other Instagram accounts, like my first name that I want or like is always taken. So I was like, because I didn't want to do like Matt Vargo Photography because that's just too bland. And I was like, let's see if Vargo Inc. is available, and apparently it was. And I'm gonna hold on to that username for dear life because apparently Instagram usernames get snatched like that. So yeah. I took a lot of photos over this trip, and I put them all up on there, and a bunch of them I'm really, really proud of. Went to Hamburg, nothing really there. I'd rate Hamburg a 2 out of 10. And then we were like, okay, where are we going? Because there's a couple of people that are going to Amsterdam, and me and Josh were like looking into it, and like hotels were like 200 euros minimum. We were like, not really feeling it, you know. And we didn't want to spend $200 on like one hotel room for one night for the two of us. We were like, not doing that. So we were like, okay, trying to like brainstorm, and we were like, okay, what do we do? Okay, we don't have a hotel reservation for the next night. So we were like, okay, we're running out of clean clothes. We're going to head back to the university. So you got to know that Hamburg is in the very, very, very north by Denmark. It's close, but like not like close in terms. Like I think Kiel, Kiel, is the most populated city that is that north by Denmark. But Hamburg's pretty close, and yeah, we were like, what are we doing? So then we're like, so we're going from almost about the North Sea down to about the French border, where it makes that like greater than symbol. And normally that's like, we looked it up, and it was like anywhere from like 300 to 400 miles, and like you can totally drive that in about 5-6 hours. Maybe if you're a really fast driver. It took us 12 by train, and we're like, Jesus Christ. Well, we stopped in Cologne, so because I was gonna see that cathedral. If you don't know about the Cologne Cathedral, I'll explain a little more here in a second. Because I did I stayed there longer than, an hour on the way back from Hamburg. So we stopped there for like an hour or two because like I needed to see the cathedral, and it is huge. It is massive. It took like 800 years to like finally complete it. And it houses the relics of what they presume. I don't know if they presume or if they've done DNA tests on it, but like the three kings from the Bible story, like their skulls, like are in like the like chests that legit straight out looks like the Ark of the Covenant. And it's really cool. So we stopped there. We didn't go in because we were like, I was taking a bunch of pictures. Cause like this cathedral is cool. Got back on the train, got to Stuttgart, and then back to Reutlingen, and we were like exhausted because we legit went from west. We like made a whole big ass loop around Germany, from Stuttgart to Leipzig to Dresden to Hamburg to Cologne to back to Stuttgart. And if you look at a map, that's the entire pretty much outermost border of Germany. Pretty close. So we just did a whole loop around Germany, and then the next trip we didn't take for 2 weeks. We were trying to recover from that much travel, about like a week's worth of travel in total. The next place we went to was Venice, and that was awesome. Venice was freaking lit. Let me tell you, and we timed it perfectly. We went middle September, and lately Venice has been flooding a lot, which kind of makes sense considering it's not the best place to build a city. Like, the canals are so cool, but you can get lost so easily. I legit was trying to like find my way back to like the main train station to get off this like island. Like, I got lost and literally spent about a half hour trying to find it. Venice is a maze, but it's also very touristy, and that's obvious. But like we got off the train from the main land like to the island, and I didn't realize like all of these older people, like boomer age type people, like had these selfie sticks. I was like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck did we get ourselves into? So we went from Stuttgart to Ulm, I think that's the name, and then we had a layover, quote unquote layover, for like 2 hours, and it was like 1 o'clock to 3 a.m. in the morning. So we're sitting there in the cold and waiting for our next bus, and that was an experience. And then we get on the bus and go through Austria. So technically I did visit Austria this study abroad trip, but I wasn't awake for it, so that technically doesn't count. I wake up and we like pass through Munich. I fell asleep right about after Munich, and then I woke up and we're like in Italy. I was like, did we pass through Austria, Josh? And he was like, yeah. You just weren't awake for it. I was like, oh. So I was like, technically I was there, but technically I wasn't. My body traveled through it. My mind just wasn't there. So we get to Venice, and it's about noon time. And then we get on the train, and a note about trains is don't dark ride. Like get a ticket. I'll explain that now. So say the ticket from, I'll use Stuttgart to Reutlingen as an example, and that was like €10. So if you get the €10 ticket, and if the ticket collector finds out that you don't have the ticket, the fine is 10 times that. So you would have been paying €100. So they take that very seriously, obviously. Get on the train in Venice, and we get there, and we see all these tourists, and we're like, oh god, it honestly reminded me of Disney World, honestly. It's tourists. So we see the major attractions like that. The main canal. You get to see the Bridge of Sighs, which I don't know why where I wanted to see that. I only wanted to see it because it was the main attraction, but it's not that impressive, honestly. To me, I don't find the bridge of sighs to be that interesting. I see a bunch of other ones, and Venice was so cool. And then we get to our hotel, and we're exhausted. It's about 4. And then I was like, Josh, I'm gonna go back in the city because I'm gonna try and go get some nighttime, like sunset pictures. And he was like, okay, well, I'm gonna stay here. I was like, lit. And this is where I get lost. Cause I get all my pictures that I want, and then the maze starts coming. I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna get stuck in Venice, and I will not know how to get back. Luckily, I found out how to, and I got on the train and got back, so that was great. And we were only in Venice for about a full 24 hours ish, and that was cool. It was just enough time to see everything, and then hop back into Germany. Another person just walked by looking at me weird. I really wish they had like a curtain or something in here, because it's just weird. Because you can totally like look in. Well, and I get it because you need to see if the room's occupied, but like there should be a curtain option. Anyways, Venice is done. The next trip I think is like a week or 2 later. So I go. Yeah, no, it's 2 weeks later because I took a week off. So I did a weird route. So I went from Stuttgart to Dresden to Munich. So Stuttgart is southwest Germany by the greater than symbol, and then Dresden is over by Berlin. So I had an overnight bus, and that was probably the best night's sleep. I got on a Flixbus, and I can't fall asleep well on bus as well. And that was a great night's sleep. We got to Dresden by 6 a.m. So I took a 10 o'clock p.m. bus to get there by 6 a.m. And the very moment I walk into the train station in Dresden, so I'm minding my own business, and I had a Coca-Cola bottle that I was trying to figure out which bin to put it in because they separate it out by paper, plastic, glass, residual waste, and they go into super detail on trash. And in the United States, it's more paper, recyclables, and just trash in general. So I'm trying to figure this out, and I finally figured it out. And then I throw my Coca-Cola can away, and then the police come up to me, and I'm like, oh god, what did I do? So, and they're starting to speak to me in German, and I can totally pick out parts of what they're trying to say to me, and they're like, and then I picked out the word Reisepasse, and that's obviously travel documents. So I was like, and I carry my passport around with me everywhere, and if you're going overseas, you need to carry your passport with you at all times, legit at all times, whether that's in a little carry-on that's over your shoulder that's like a purse or in your pocket. That's my recommendation. I was like, okay, what did I do? And then scanned it, and it was like, this is a valid passport. I was like, I sure hope it's a valid passport. I got it from the United States State Department, so I sure hope to God it's valid. And so they're like, okay, have a great day. I was like, you too. So that just threw me for a loop because normally you never you can totally tell someone's American by blue jeans, the Nike hoodies, the shoes, the Nike shoes. Obviously, everything is different here in terms over there Fila, I think that's the name, is very popular. Champion, the sweatshirt apparel brand, it's popular there. H&M is very popular, so H&M brands are very popular. So you can totally tell American style of fashion comparative to German style of fashion in terms of teens. So like you can totally tell I'm American, and I'm like, oh, it's good to know I can get sought out in a crowd. So, and then in Dresden's a very unique story because Dresden is East Germany. It was firebombed by the United States Army Air Force in 1945. I think it was March 1945. So the war is coming to a close. The war is totally like the end is in sight. But I don't even know why the Army Air Force, because at that time it was the Army Air Force and not the United States Air Force. I think the Air Force wasn't implemented separately from the Army Air Force, from the U.S. Army until after the war. But like Dresden was totally firebombed and destroyed. So there's this church. It's called the Frauenkirche, and in Germany, religion is very, very, very important. Like the entire country, like legit, shuts down on Sundays. Thank God for the Dörner place on the corner that stayed open, because I was like, because normally I do my shopping on Sundays for the beginning of the week, but like in Germany you can't, because like Penny, which is a local grocery store, was closed. I was like, oh, well, shit. So that's just another difference between, like obviously there's American stores that are closed on weekends, but like major chains like Walmart and Target and other major retail like Home Depot and all those like Lowe's, Target, Walmart, what's left of the shopping malls are open on Sundays typically, because that's a day for everyone to go out and shop. Not the case in Germany. So yeah, the church, I got sidetracked. The church totally got destroyed, and like the church was left in ruins, and it's called the Frauenkirche. And there's a lot of Frauenkirches around Germany, because Frauen is Frau, and that means lady, and then Kirche means church. So the Church of Our Lady. So obviously, when you're talking about the Church of Our Lady, you're talking about the Virgin Mary, and you're talking about how important the Virgin Mary is to Catholic and that religious faith. Because obviously, the mother of Jesus, Mother Mary, the Virgin Mary. So there's a lot of Frauenkirches around Germany. Most towns will have a Frauenkirche. That's just the name of it. Like, that's kind of like the default name for churches I found in Germany. So the Frauenkirche in Dresden totally got destroyed. It was literally left in rubble for about 50 years. They like literally like in this little town square, or well, city square. Dresden's a city. They have this whole marketplace, and then apparently for like 50 years they left it in ruins as like a monument for like an anti-war. Like, we're totally against the war, and we're totally against violence, because look at what war and violence and destruction has done to our church. And I obviously, my mom, well, you don't, none of the people listening know this, but my mom went to Germany during the Cold War. So she was there in Berlin for like Checkpoint Charlie, and went to Dresden and saw like there was like actually like flowers and trees blooming out of the ruins of that church, and like people were playing, and like I talked to a few people around the church. I was just striking up conversation, and they're like, "Yeah, we played in the rubble, and we had fun with it." I was like, "That's so cool," because I was like talking to people older that lived through that time was very interesting. So that was super, super cool. Dresden, the Frauenkirche in Dresden is probably my favorite church in the entire world, followed by the Kölner Dome, and that's the Cologne's cathedral, die Dome. And then probably the chapel here in Valpo is my third favorite. The chapel here in Valpo is insane. It's really cool, really awesome. Especially when like the light comes in on the panels and like at the cross, like, ooh, great photo right there. So leave Dresden, go to Munich for a day, do all the sights around there, and then I go to Oktoberfest, and I was like, okay, then we're gonna drink some beer, and I did drink some beer, but I didn't like. I still had like a 3 or 4 hour bus ride home after Oktoberfest. I was like, I'm gonna be buzzed, or like buzzed would be the limit I'd go. I wouldn't get, no, I wouldn't black out length. The length of blacking out, like I wouldn't do that because I have a bus ride to get home, and I'm in a major European city by myself. So like I'm not gonna do that. So I went to Oktoberfest, and it was actually like smaller than I thought it'd be. Like I thought it was like it's obviously this whole like big thing, like it's really, really big. Like these like tents are like huge, a couple football fields long. Um, yeah, like the tents are huge, and I got into one. I was like, okay, lit. Um, got a couple beers, and then hung around for a little bit, and then I started walking around, and it started raining. I was like, oh god, oh god. I packed a couple extra pairs of socks for my trip, the weekend trip. I think I packed 2 extra pairs, and I went through all of my pairs of socks because oh my god, and my Puma shoes were totally destroyed that I had to throw them out at the end of the year because they didn't recover from the soaking wet that it got in Munich. So I walked around Munich, did all of that, and then went back. I think that was I think I did a week off, and then I went to Paris. Paris and London were in subsequent weekends. And those 2 weeks were like the greatest of the trip. So I went to Paris, I think, mid-October. I think October like 17th to like in the area of 17 or like to 24-ish. Because I remember flying to London on the 31st on Halloween. So I think we were there October 22nd to 24th-ish for Paris. So we'd catch it was like a 2 a.m. bus. We got to Stuttgart at midnight, and we waited around. So we did a lot of waiting, and we did a lot of traveling. So I went to Paris. Paris is absolutely gorgeous. The Eiffel Tower is so insanely gorgeous. It's a city of love. It's a city of lights, and Paris is absolutely gorgeous. So we get into Paris. We see all the major attractions: the Eiffel Tower, the Arc de Triomphe, Sacré-Cœur. And Sacré-Cœur is like another kind of like cathedral. Notre Dame is obviously the church of the city, and it was and I got to see Paris I got to see Notre Dame on the morning of our 3rd day there, and then like they totally like obviously everyone knows about Notre Dame was on fire, and they cordoned off that whole courtyard, so I didn't even get to go up and like touch it. Like that was something like I really want to do because like I got to touch the stones of the Cologne Cathedral, the Kölner Dome. Got to touch the Frauenkirche in Dresden. Like I got to physically touch that. Like I feel like that's awesome. Like I get to like feel something, like when I get to touch that, because obviously there's no power in the bricks themselves, but it's the power in like the concept of God and all this stuff that means stuff to people. So I was like, I really want to go up to touch it. I want to kind of like go inside, but obviously with this whole, it burned. Like they cordoned everything off. I was like, shit, why the fuck did you have to burn like that? Selfish little bastards. No, I'm just kidding. Notre Dame is absolutely gorgeous. Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame, Champs-Élysées, Sacré-Cœur, Arc de Triomphe, the catacombs. Josh got to go in the catacombs. I didn't go in there. Yeah, that was super dope. And then the second day, which is our full day in Paris, I paid like 200 euros. I was like, which is a little expensive, but I went to what's that, it's, the name's escaping me. Mont Saint Michel, that's what it is. So I went to Mont Saint Michel, and that, if you don't know what Mont Saint Michel is, it's like this abbey on this rock, and it's like this little island with a nice wall around it. And some parts of the day, it's on the mainland, and in some parts of the day, it's an island due to the rising and the ebbs and the flows of the tide. So I didn't get to see it be an island, which would have been so cool. But I wasn't there for that part of the day. Got back, I saw they dropped us right off in front of the Louvre. I was like, oh my goodness. So I got to see the Louvre. I didn't go in it because it was obviously late at night. I got to take a bunch of pictures of the Louvre pyramid, that little glass pyramid they got there, which was so cool. So I'm at 50 minutes, and I think I'm going to divide this up into 2 parts. So I think I'm going to leave off here at Paris for the first part of this episode of my study abroad experience, because there's obviously a lot more to talk about, but I really don't want to go over that hour threshold, and I'm at 51 minutes-ish right now. So I'm gonna divide these up into 2. I think that makes the most sense, because I don't want to take too much time on this, and there's still a lot to talk about. So I'm gonna leave that off here. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it very, very much, and I'm so thankful. I'm sure there's gonna be few listeners here in the first couple episodes of this podcast, but like obviously we're gonna grow with it, and we're gonna be we're gonna grow together in this regard. So thank you for listening. Thank you so much. I love y'all so much. Definitely showing a lot of love to try for those people that support me in whatever regard I set my mind to. So thank you, love you, appreciate you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, depending on when you're listening to this. Great rest of your day, rest of your week, month, whatever time and situation you're listening to. So thank you very much. Love you, appreciate you, and I will see you. Well, I won't actually see you, but you'll hear me, and I gotta change that up because I'm so used to YouTube videos. In my YouTube videos, I say I'll see you all in the next video, but so yeah, I mean I'll keep it. I'll see you all in the next podcast. So thank you for listening. Love you, appreciate you, and I'll see you all in the next podcast. Deuces.